and other places. He roams. He moves around. The president has to know. After all, who is offering him security? The other day you saw they were talking about his security being downsized. Uhuru's security. You know, Kome, the Inspector General of Police, was very categorical on this. There is no way, for the purposes of command and control, you cannot have an Assistant Inspector General of Police being in charge of a former president's security detail. Meaning, below him there are senior superintendents, or a senior superintendent, then there's superintendent, then a chief inspector, then inspectors in there. You know, that is not workable. Because you had asked me about big fish. It's not big, so it did not take the president to decide that. It took the Inspector General of Police to downsize and give the right ranks for the purposes.
Just like you've said, he's getting orders from above. So could President Ruto be playing a game, trying to do, because we saw when he was campaigning, Matiang'i was frustrating him so much, in his rallies and all that, his security, and also President Uhuru Kenyatta. President Ruto really suffered in the previous government and towards, his campaigns. So could he be in any way trying to, revenge and do as what he was?
He's not revenging. What I can tell you for free is this. He's only trying to organize government to be orderly. For information, it's wrong. You cannot have an Assistant Inspector General of Police. An Assistant Inspector General of Police being in charge of the president's security. In fact, it should be a Chief Inspector of Police who should be in charge of... because that Chief Inspector, you look at the strength, the unit, the strength of the arms that he has are enough. In fact, if we can talk about who is always in charge of a police station? Is an inspector, a chief inspector, not so. How many people are in that police station? How many officers are in that police station? So many. So I'm trying to give people a picture to understand why a chief inspector is very powerful. A chief inspector, the strength of the units under him is very powerful. It's like the president is moving with a police station. It's like the former president is moving with a police station. Now you can imagine the former president moving there. Now we are talking about an Assistant Inspector General of Police. It's like he's moving with a province, with a region of security. And for the purposes of command and control, there are some times when we have hiccups. Like when President Kibaki was president, there was a time when they had the hiccups with the Prime Minister's security at Nyayo Stadium. Guns were almost being drawn. So you can imagine who now will command who. In case there are some hiccups with the security protocol and stuff like that, who will command who? If this one is an Inspector General of Police, Assistant Inspector General of Police. So there is no revenge. What we're only trying to do, what President William Samoei Ruto is trying to do, and I think it's not even him, because he has given accountability to people, is that let us have a country that is organized. Let us have systems that can run, not systems that crash into one another. And I think that is exactly what was happening. So as far as I can see this, there is no revenge. And then two, there are no big fishes in this country. I can tell you that for free. If anyone is going to break the law, if anyone is going to dare government, you will be faced as an individual. There is nothing like big fish. You will face the law. I mean, and the law, like a saw, cuts both forwards and backwards. They'll come for you. You cannot say that you're a big fish. There are no big fishes here. After all, there are no oceans here. We are moving on land. So there are no wells. There are no wells. There is no a well here that swimming in these small rivers. No. President William Ruto is in charge. And that is something that people must accept. That the President William Samoei Ruto and his deputy, Rigathi Gachagua, are in charge. And when you talk about Rigathi Gachagua, you're talking about an administrator, yeah? Talking about a DO. He will bring you to order if you try to. So I can tell you for free that Matiang'i has been a law-abiding. No one would have wished to go and and raid his home. And if there was a reason why they should go, they will give him cause to show reason why they should not have him either produce himself to the police station or CID headquarters or whatever DCI offices that there are, or he should appear in court.
Okay, now talking about daring the government, we've seen of late, issues to do with security in especially in the parts in North Rift. Now, from your look, what do you think is happening?
I can tell you that cattle rustling, that banditry, we've had many stories about what goes on there, but we are told that some of these people are owned by they are militia. There could be some private militia of a kind. Yeah, they hide under tribe. Yeah, the Pokot, the Turkana, and so on, the Marakwet. But there are people. They are beneficiaries of that. People who sell them the animals after they have been looted, after they have been cattle have been stolen. When they steal that livestock from one point to another, there are people who benefit from that. So they are the ones who arm them, who give them weapons and so on. So it's a business. I can call cattle rustling a business. Yeah.
Are politicians involved?
Oh, there are involved. During those days of Moi, we had names that were politicians. Politicians were mentioned on many occasions. Politicians were mentioned. Pokot leaders were mentioned during the Moi days. And even today, for you to get the persuasion of or the sympathy of the state, you use a politician. Yeah, you hide behind a politician. So the politician protects you, and then he also benefits out of that. So most likely is that these politicians are the ones that not only just shelter them, but might also be funding them, so that they cause mayhem. But the saddest thing is that we've seen how the police have been killed, and the police were just doing their duty, because the work of the police is to maintain law and order, to maintain more law and order, to ensure that people are moving from one point to another, especially if they are on transit. They have providing security for people who are on transit buses and stuff like that. They just want people to move in peace, because Kenyans want to move from one point to another to visit their families or to engage in business. On the other, that's just tourists, So if you can start shooting convoys, vehicles, and killing the police, it is totally unacceptable. Some of them have claimed it's a way of life, that cattle rustling is a way of life, and so on and so forth. When they tried to cross over to Uganda, Comrade Museveni, there is a time Museveni crushed them to teach them that it cannot be a way of life. What you've learned, you can be untaught what you've been taught. So
you can unlearn what you learn.
Yes, you can be untaught. You can unlearn what you learn.
So, Bona Chris, maybe, and this is for purposes of record, we saw when, the president was campaigning, at some point there were, issues with the bandits in the North Rift, and he said, wanijaribu mimi, watanijua. But it's still the same issue we've seen, 6 months after he has taken the office. So, what exactly is happening that it's only the police who are killed? And that no single day we've seen in the televisions, or in the media where the police have killed the bandits. Why is it that it's always the bandits killing the police?
Let me tell you something about ambushes. An ambush an ambush is not like these bandits are coming for a confrontation or fight with the police. If they try that, they won't go home. Let me tell you that for free. They won't go home. You even just attempt to raid, try to attempt to raid Chief's camp. You won't go home. You won't go home. They will, the chief, those administration police guys will wipe you out. What these guys are doing is they are doing what we normally call ambushes. They are ambushes, guerrilla type of attacks. When the police least expect. And why do they not expect? Because these are mobile bandits. They are mobile bandits, so you can't know where exactly they're going to hit you from. And an ambush is very dangerous. An ambush is quite devastating because you will never know when they are hitting you, and surprise beats the strongest. It has happened in America. They attacked World Trade Center. They attacked the Pentagon. Recently, just the other day, you saw a balloon moving into US space. It took President Biden's orders to shoot it down. It had crossed into the US space. So what I can tell you is this, that these are ambushes, but it does not mean that they cannot be tamed. But what I can tell you for free is that the president has ordered the military to go down there and to send a message to them, to convince these people that they can look for another way of life. So the military has gone there. The paramilitary is going to be a combined force of all the units, an anti-banditry unit of all units to come in and convince these people that they can choose another way of life or end up in jail. And when you engage in such a fight, it's usually there are losses on both sides. So you could end up in jail or end up in a body bag. That is what happens. But it's very wrong for them to disrupt the way of life of people. Children are not going to school. Women cannot move freely. They are being threatened and raped. Animals, people's property is being looted. You loot someone's animals. You disrupt people who are going to do their business from one point to another. Like that, it was at Kainuk. That is a road, highway to Lodwar. You cannot just keep ambushing people. People are tourists. Others are going for their own businesses. Others are transiting, are crossing over. They want to go to Sudan.
Okay. Now, Bona Chris, just maybe to make it clear, we saw the other day the Kakamega, not Kakamega, but Trans Nzoia governor, that is George Natembeya, who was also the former, regional commander, said that to some point he had to quit, the military because there are so many frustrations when it comes to food, when it comes to weapons, that the basic needs of these police officers are not catered for. Could that also be a factor towards the bandits raid not coming to an end?
We cannot rule out. Personally, I've been so much talking about police funding. As a human rights activist, some of these police officers are under some stress. That is why they do some of the things they do, the rights violations they engage in. I've talked about police funding. Police are highly underfunded. They're underfunded. You want world-class security, but you don't want to feed the police. You don't want to give the police the tools of trade, and then their salaries and allowances. You must look into all those things and to ensure that the police are fit for work. And they refresh your trainings. Then don't just keep a police officer in the same position for all these years. A person has been a constable all these years, 30 years. A person is in the same position. Try to improve their conditions and so on. Move them, transfer them to other places, morale boost them, and keep agile units that are ready to fight. But it should be understood also that if politicians were engaged in that issue of ensuring that the police are not well funded, it should be because some of those politicians are also engaged in the cattle rustling. So if they fund the police and protect and give the police the tools of trade they need, at the end of the day you find that they counter these bandits, and they want the bandits to continue so that they can steal the animals for them, and they can sell to the meat companies and so on, and to the hides and skins. They can sell the hides and skins and stuff like that. So I can say that politicians, there was a lack of political goodwill because the politicians could also be benefiting from that banditry. But as I can tell you this for free is that the police funding should be improved. The APCs, the armored personnel carriers, must be there. The weapons they are using, because some of those guys they could be using assault rifles like the AK-47s and so on, but the police should be a bit ahead of the game. Get the right weaponry, the right body armor, and then the health facilities. We expect that they should be having enough ambulance services within that corridor, enough mobile clinics within that corridor, because of not generally the fights, but also the conditions in the area itself is not so good. So the people getting sick is also very possible. So they should be given enough health services, and then they should food. one of the reasons why the British Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill one time said that Nairobi was panicking, the Italians were going to cross over from Ethiopia to attack Nairobi. And he said that he was in that land in those very early years. He was in that land south of River Tana. That there is nothing much to eat there. What am I trying to say? Food is part of war. So without food, these guys cannot fight. In fact, one of the reasons why Kenya is very stable and you cannot go for a protracted, long people's war is because you don't have food. What will you eat? When we had the skirmishes in 2007, it ended very fast because people are starving. You won't carry a panga on an empty stomach. So food is very, very important. If the police are starving, the security agencies there are starving, you cannot expect them to. They'll be given a cow and they'll sleep. They're given a cow to eat. After all, they're starving themselves. So in short, I can say that police funding should be there, but at the same time, let us not rule out that these malicious and vicious attackers we are calling bandits are also not easy guys. They ambush and they can beat even the strongest of the units you can talk of.
All right. Now, the other day the president said that he has ordered the interior CS, Professor Kindiki, to go and camp in areas where that are infested by the bandits and the attacks. Is it going to work?
It's going to work. Some of us have always thought that if you want to put the hands where the mouth is here. If you want to feed, you take the ugali, but you put it where the mouth is here. So I can say, and the reverse is also true. But I can tell you this for free, yeah, that ministry heads should be headquartered where the ministry interests are. For instance, the Ministry of Agriculture should be in Kitale. The CS of Agriculture should be having his headquarters in Kitale.
Why? Because Kitale
is the food basket of this country. The Minister for Environment, Mining and so on should right now be thinking about coming to Kakamega, because that is where the gold is. That is where the minerals are. You get? So I can tell you this, that it's right, let him go, so that he can be kept abreast with what is happening on the ground, get acquainted with the environment, the conditions of work and so on, the police, what they're going through. Because flying from Nairobi to an operation area and back does not give you a real picture of what is going on. You'd rather sit in the environment, understand their issues and conditions. Because when you arrive on one day, people give you so many stories without actually you understanding and getting the real gist as to what is going on. But if you are in that environment, if you can know what is going on and so on, it becomes very easy for you to find ways to solve the challenges that are there at that very particular point.
All right. Thank you so much for your discussion today.
Oh, okay, please.
Thank you so much for your time, and please make sure you click the subscribe button, comment, and tune in for more news as we continue to bring you updates on the security situation in our country. Thank you for today. See you next time.